Hey guys, thank you for clicking on my YouTube video. This video is just going to cover exactly what happens with an election year and the market and what will happen after we know who the president will be, whether it'll be Trump again or Biden, and exactly what that means with the stock market. If you find these topics interesting and want more information on different financial topics and exactly how to save money for retirement and how to do things, and I'll in the future be sharing my own journey and exactly what I'm doing to prepare for retirement and making sure that everything is good when I'm older, and just different financial topics that I find interesting, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button. And if you enjoy this video, make sure to just leave it a like, and that way I know that people are actually enjoying the information I'm giving out. So as we're fastly approaching the election, which I'm sure everyone's tired hearing about, I know that it's something that we've been hearing for the last year, especially with everything going on right now. Everyone's stuck in their homes and don't have much to listen to, and all we see on TV is getting bombarded by different political ads and different information, and everyone's trying to make the decision, well, should I go Republican or should I go Democratic? And what does this mean for my future in terms of the stock market and how I'm investing my money? Well, I'm going to be going over some basic information that I found online from different sources and exactly what it means. With the election being less than a week away at this point, we've seen the markets go down a little bit in the last week, especially since Monday. This is currently being filmed on the 27th of October. We've seen the market go as low as 2 to 3%, and this might seem scary, and you might be worried, well, what exactly does this mean? Well, honestly, this is something that happens almost every election. If you go back every 4 years and you're looking at the preceding weeks before the actual election, most of the markets will go down a couple percentage points, and this is usually due to the fact that there's uncertainty. People don't know what's going to happen. If Trump stays in the office, does that mean we're not going to be getting the next stimulus check? If Biden comes into the office, does this mean taxes are going up? Does this mean other things will be affected? And the market doesn't know what to do with this information, so a lot of people are worried, selling their stocks, selling different equities in order to get that uncertainty out. Well, what I found, there's a couple articles that cover exactly what happens after the election. And most of the time after the election, the market will start to go back up once we know exactly who will be in office. And one article covers what happens within the next 4 years, depending on who comes into the House. So it goes from 1926 to 2019. It doesn't have the new 2020 data, and I know that might have skewed everything just because we've seen such a volatile market in the last 10 months, honestly. So depending on who you're looking at, if a Republican comes into the office and they average about 9% every year after year in the stock market in their 4-year term, and a Democrat, honestly, this surprised me the most. It averages about 15% over the 4-year mark of their presidency. And what usually happens is right at, let's say Trump loses the election and we go into Biden's next 4 years. What usually happens is that means that the following year, so 2021, there could be as low as a 5% change in the market. It's still a positive change, but it's only going to be 5% because of the uncertainty that comes with a new party coming into office. And if it's the same party, so if Trump wins for the next year, usually what the market has shown is that it remains constant, and there could be as much as a 16% increase in the stock market. This could be due to the fact that we know what we're going to be getting for the next 4 years. We have an idea with what happened since the last 4 years with Trump in office and what we can expect in the next 4 years. Now, this might be a little bit changed just because of the virus that's going on right now and everything that is up in the air, but that's usually what happens. Well, what happens if, let's say, Trump stays in office and we also get the House is the same in terms of Congress and the Senate? Well, what we usually find out is that when there's a unified Republican Party, usually we get a return about 14.5% during their year after year for the Republican Party. What we get for a united Democratic Party, and this surprised me, it's 14.5%. Both parties, no matter as long as they're united in terms of the House and who's in office, return about 14.5%, which I honestly was very surprised about. I thought it would be a little more, but it makes sense because you're trying to pass policies that you want, and when you don't have much fighting from the Congress and Senate, you're able to pass what you think is better for the economy. The stock market might see that as a good thing because you're able to just push it through and just implement the things that you have. Now, this does change if Trump wins again, and we'll see in about a couple of years if the Congress or Senate change. What we usually find is that they only return about 7%, meaning that Trump will not be able to push past what he wants, and usually the ideas are very different. And now this is what surprised me even more is if a Democratic president gets elected, such as Biden, and we still have a Republican House in the next couple of years, what we see is an increase in the market. This could possibly be linked to more market consumption, which is something that the Democrats usually push instead of the tax cuts that Republicans are pushing for the higher classes. So if you are just looking at this from a strict market perspective and you want just optimal gains and you don't really care who goes into the office, then you probably would want Biden to win and then the Congress and Senate to stay Republican, and that will probably boost your portfolio anywhere from 14 to 16%, which over 4 years can add a lot and almost pretty much double your money in that 4-year mark. Now, if you're looking at something in terms of like the GDP, what we found is under the Democrats, the GDP, which is the gross domestic consumption, or the way that the market is increasing, usually under a Democratic we're seeing about 3.6%, and under a Republican we're seeing around 2.6%. What does this mean, and why does that happen? Well, it happens because Republicans usually push more tax incentives and deregulations and let companies do more of their thing, while Democrats, on the other hand, are pushing more consumption through different government programs such as food stamps, increased child credits, and unemployment benefits, which will hopefully put that money back into the market because people will go out and have more money to spend, which increases the GDP for America. Now, what we've seen is for Democrats, when they're in office, especially in the last 20 years, what has been the best group of stocks to own are usually U.S. equities. They have averaged about 14.5%. And when Democrats are in office, while for Republicans, it's been more emerging markets. They've averaged around 8.5%. These are different things that will give you an idea on how you want to adjust maybe your portfolio and put money into something that is different or something that you can have an idea on. But at the end of the day, guys, a lot of this information is just numbers, and it's just, while it's useful to know and understand these numbers, if you are in your late 20s, early 20s, even 30s and 40s, you're going to be going through a lot of different presidential elections. You'll probably be seeing so many different policies being passed, so many different presidents coming and going, that the little volatility that we will get before the market and even after the market, this shouldn't be honestly something that you are worried about. A lot of the market prices this in. We know that an election takes place every 4 years. We know that at this point, that weeks leading up to the election, there will be market volatility. There will be a little bit of difference of it going down and then going back up. This is just something normal, and it's just something that you as an investor need to get used to, because unless you're getting close to that retirement age, whatever that age might be, that's when you might want to change your allocation into something that's more that works for you, because at this point you've accumulated your wealth and you just want to hold on to that wealth, and no matter which president is in office. And that's something that we can cover in a later video, exactly how you should be allocating your money in terms of your goals and where you are in your life. If you found any of this information useful, or it made you think more clearly, or hold on to things, maybe not risk something that you were doing, go ahead and just like the video and subscribe, and I will get back with more information and different topics in the future. Thanks for clicking on the video, guys.